Very good evening, friends. This side Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. Before I continue, let me remind you that we have made some changes in our YouTube. And now, with every YouTube video, there is a description box in which more than 90% of the links are shared. Since YouTube is giving us a privilege for 5,000 words, so at the top of the description box, we shared a PDF link. And in this PDF, the rest links are there. But more or less 90% of the links are already shared in the description box, which includes trainings, fixed income platform, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and almost everything we share. Apart from that, if you have any questions covering our research desk, our stock valuation desk, our penny stock trainings desk, our video trainings, our TRFX Academy, which is starting 530 rupees per year, and lot of other products of Treasury Consulting like Sheetal Academy and all, you are welcome to WhatsApp at 9818485155. I repeat, you're welcome to WhatsApp at 9818485155. We all understand that the world is facing COVID-19. We also understand that United Kingdom reported 2 new strains of COVID-19, and unfortunately the 2 new strains are more dangerous and more faster than the original COVID-19 as per UK. And I'm reading this information on a daily basis in public domain, to be honest, and trying to conclude that where exactly a stock market is going on, where stock market will not go on. But one important thing that has happened in the background is that the American and the European banks are more or less ready. Rather, I need to say this, that American banks are almost done with the Libor transition. SOFR, secured overnight financing rate, CORA, ESTR, and 9 risk-free reference rates are ready. And we need to appreciate ISDA also, International Swaps and Derivative Association, who also did commendable job as far as the Libor transitioning is concerned. I have some interpretation issues with ISDA, but more or less the job done in the rightest way, to be honest. And I think that American banks are almost done with the Libor transition. That's a separate thing, that the official deadline of the Libor transition is June 2021. And I'm sure that, if COVID-19 flares up again, then this official deadline would further postpone. But American banks and more or less European banks are already ready. But when we speak about Reserve Bank of India, in one of the, I think, the functions of the seminar conducted or while interacting with the lobby of Indian Banking Association, Reserve Bank of India Governor exhort stakeholders for a smooth shift to Libor. He also said that Reserve Bank, RBI is planning to replace, RBI is planning to replace with MIFOR, Mumbai Interbank Forward Offer Rate. 99% of the people do not understand what MIFOR stands at. And more importantly, I really doubt whether the people sitting in these institutions are also aware how exactly these things work. Foreign exchange is like a Bollywood or Hollywood, wherein what you see is not a reality and what you do not see is actually a reality. People believe that stock markets, commodities market are highly driven by operators. But people do not know that even foreign exchange market are also driven by operators. History is witness that foreign exchange market faced humongous scandals, I think more than the stock market scandals. According to the data in the public domain, India exposure to LIBOR linked borrowing, bonds and deposits and derivative contract is $331 billion. And that is also a surprising information for me. I have repeated this, I have said this several times, and I'm going to be repeat this again. That standing today, not a single American bank research department can claim an exact amount of LIBOR denominated outstanding contracts in the world. And I'm talking about the American banks, those who have extreme firepower. Bloomberg, Reuters, research department, and whatnot. How come India reached to the figure of $331 billion that I fail to understand? Because none of the Indian banks is disclosing that information in the public domain. You check the balance sheet of any Indian bank and you will not have this information. Once this information is not in the Indian balance sheet, how come they got to know that it is $331 billion? Number one. Another important thing is that even if I assume that it is $331 billion, then do you really think that when American banks are almost done with LIBOR transition, European banks are more or less done, and Singaporean banks are almost 50-55% done, do you think that this transition would be smooth as far as the Indian banks are concerned? And by the way, the question which I raised many times in the public domain, unfortunately never addressed, and I will repeat this again. Are we going to have some changes in the disclosures of Indian banks, especially when their balance sheets and when they signed by the big fours? And how do immunization schedule will change once the Indian banks move from MIFOR to LIBOR? And I'm sure that many people here do not understand that it is not MIFOR. I think the person who wrote the article forget it that the impact would not be on the MIFOR, rather it would be on the IRS curves. And IRS curves are more complicated than the MIFOR. You know why, guys? I tell you. MIFOR is computed but not quoted. IRS is quoted but not computed. Whenever I see such kind of articles in the public domain, I always feel strange that people, those who writing these articles, even do not know that they are talking about Somalia, but the article is about Singapore. And they keep stressing that Somalia, Somalia, Somalia. Excuse me, we are talking about Singapore. Guys, LIBOR transition would have a deep and denting impact in the IRS curves across the globe. And by the way, when I speak about IRS curves, I have not spoken about the swap curve. So in short, the LIBOR transition, and that's why I said that why I love American banks, because American banks are done with IRS curves and swap curves. And European banks, I think they are done with IRS curves, but they are consistently working on the swap curves. While Singaporean banks are midway of the IRS curves, swap curves they have not yet touched. And this article suggests that LIBOR transition is easy for India. I will conclude my video with the same remark which I made several times. I'm not worried about what they wrote or what they not. Not at all. What I'm worried is that whenever a young person or a young gun will read or maybe read this article, he would be like, LIBOR is a global benchmark for borrowings, is expected to be ceased by end of next year. Next year, June 2021. RBI has been planning to replace it with MIFOR. Oh, MIFOR. The young gun even do not know that he is being taught 1 plus 1 equal to 200. This is surprising for me. And this is called business newspaper. Anyways, I'm lucky I taught my foreign bank. I'm lucky I deal in Reuters and Bloomberg. I'm lucky Treasury Consulting every day price derivative contracts and work in capital markets. Else, I would be one of them who wrote this article. This is Rahul from Treasury Consulting, and Treasury Consulting is extremely pleased to announce that our first video course in foreign exchange is ready. And what is our understanding of video foreign exchange? We all know. If you have any question, do WhatsApp 9818485155. Have a great time, sir.